What's this stuff? Some cereal. It's supposed to be good for you. Did you try it? I'm not gonna try it. You try it. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't eat it. He hates everything. He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
This is probably going to be the worst show I have ever done. In case you can't tell, I'm devastated. I'm devastated. As you all know,
cheeseburger.
Our little cheeseburger boy is gone.
Cheeseburger.
And I don't even know if I can do this show. Those who have been asking, I am not sure at this point exactly what happened. I'm waiting to hear back from his mom, Patty. The only person that I know right now that has had any real communication with Mikey's family is Michael Kittle, who they had met him out in California, and she happened to be able to get a hold of him, and he sent me a little note earlier, and I'm gonna try and read it to you real quick because it really touched my heart. If I put my right glasses on, maybe I can read it. But this came to me from Michael Kittle, and it says, hi, Susie. Just wanted to share that when Mikey's mom contacted me, you were one of the very few channels she knew by name and wanted to make sure you knew about Mikey's passing and wanted you to know how much you meant to Mikey, too. It's so sad. He was way too young. Yeah, he was just about turned 22. He's in his second year of college. We all know Mikey had some issues. He didn't care to share them with people, so I'm certainly not going to. But apparently, now those of you who were in my stream last Monday, Mikey came in the stream last Monday night late because he had been out somewhere to eat. Mikey liked his food. And he ended up winning the end of stream duck race. Of course, we all ragged on him because that's, we would say, oh, he cheated. And I even made the comment that I would hold on to his prize because he always had me hold his prizes while he was at college. And then when he was getting ready to go home, which was fairly often, he would have me send his packages. So I'm sitting here. I did all the giveaways this week except for I'm working on Doug Harding's, and Mikey's was still sitting here because he had told me to hold it. And now I don't even know what to do with it. I'm sorry, but I just found out today, and most people just found out today, which there's an irony to that, and I'll tell you in a minute, and I'll tell you what I do know, and all I know is he was in my stream until it ended at about 7:30 or so. I don't know if he went to anybody else's stream after that, but they say he just passed in his sleep. Yeah, I was going to say that, Tom. That was what I was going to say, was the irony that they announced it today and it's National Cheeseburger Day. So that seemed to be real appropriate. And anyway, I guess he went to bed. I don't know if he went on any other channels after he was on mine, but I know for sure that night he was on my channel. And he was, you know, typical Mikey. And then they said that he went to bed and he just never woke up, and that he died sometime late Monday night or very early Tuesday morning. So there is a distinct possibility my channel may have been the last place he was. And yeah, today's National Cheeseburger Day. So everybody post a cheeseburger for Mikey. Don't put any bacon on it. Mikey didn't like bacon. We all tried to convince him it was good, but he didn't like bacon. Um, I got a couple of Mikey stories I want to tell, and I'm waiting to hear back from his mom. She's also one of my jewelry uh, customers on my jewelry channel. But I think right now she is on her way to Maryland, where they will be having the funeral on Thursday. Let me see if I can get down to this. I have to get the info, but I know that his service is going to be live streamed Thursday morning, I believe, at 10 a.m. if anybody is interested. But he was originally from Maryland, and that's where he will be laid to rest. Uh, and I got some interesting. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Uh, Hang on, I messed something up. I can do that, especially today. Um, anyway, um, you know, I got a couple of stories. I'm going to put together a little better tribute to him later, but I want to thank everybody for showing up, because I wasn't even sure if I was, I had a real good show planned tonight. I even got car wash quarters. I was all, and then I got home and found out. And I have not been able to stop crying at all. I know one of the things that his mom has asked is, don't send flowers or anything like that. If you want to do something, make a donation to Beacon College, Beacon. I used to tease him and call it Bacon College. But they would like, in lieu of flowers, to make a contribution to Beacon College in Leesburg, Florida. That's where Mikey was in his second year, and he was a good student, real good student. I don't think he made anything lower than a B ever. Anyway, at this point, they have not released anything except that he passed in his sleep. And I guess when he did not show up for class, someone went and checked on him because Mikey was real avid about being in all his classes and being on time and all of that. So I guess when he didn't show up, somebody went and now if I'm gonna make any kind of a guess, I'm gonna guess he had some type of a seizure. He did have some disorders, but I'm not gonna say that that's what happened. Like I said, I'm waiting here to hear from his mom. But I've got a few stories. There's people in here that I know were not around when some of these things happened, and they're kind of typical Mikey stories. And one of them is, I'm going to take this down just for a second and move it over. This down here in the left-hand corner, this is the base of the stand for my microscope. Now, I had this terrible microscope that had one of those gooseneck things, and you were just supposed to bend it and aim it, and it would fall over. And so Mikey sent me this microscope stand for Christmas so that my coins wouldn't keep falling over. He was a real thoughtful young man. And yeah, he since Mike Wolf brought it up and says he probably was having chicken fingers for dinner, there was one thing we never let Mikey live down, and that was the night he learned that you have to be careful with autocorrect, because he wrote that he had had chicken fingers for dinner, but autocorrect changed that slightly and said that he had had children fingers for dinner. And we didn't let him live that down for a long time. Mikey and his children fingers. There's another story, and I can't find the photo right now, but I will find the photo of this one because this one was so incredibly generous and incredibly Mikey. Mikey had been to a coin show, and I don't remember which one, but he got a silver round that was a Pearl Harbor tribute, and he had sent me a picture so I could put it up to show everybody. It was really cool. And I had just happened to mention to him, my brother's a bit older than me, and I just happened to mention that my brother's best buddy, a guy named Bud Lane, was at Pearl Harbor. He survived Pearl Harbor. He was I believe, a mechanic, an airplane mechanic at that time. He was my brother's best buddy, and I had mentioned, that he was a Pearl Harbor survivor and how cool. I said, well, I need to find out where he got that coin because I want to get one for Bud. And Mikey said, "Oh, no, don't do that. I'll send you this one, and you can have your brother give it to Bud." Well, on Bud's 96th birthday, they had a celebration. There's a restaurant in Oviedo, Florida, and I can't think of the name of it right now because I'm a little uh, overwhelmed. Thank you, Michael Kittle, for everything today. I really appreciate you. Anyway, so Mikey says, "Well, I'll just send you that coin and send it to your brother." He tried to get down there to give it to him himself, but they just couldn't get the schedules straight. So on Bud's 96th birthday, they were at this restaurant where everything is catered to veterans. Well, Bud is kind of like the king of the place because, he's Pearl Harbor survivor. So I have this wonderful photo, and I'm going to find it. When they presented that coin to him and told him that a 20-year-old kid who didn't even know him had sent this coin for him as a tribute to his service at Pearl Harbor, they took this picture of Bud, and he's holding the coin, and you can see in his eyes, you can see tears welling up in this old man's eyes. And we never thought in a million years that Bud, who is now 98, would outlive Mikey. And that was Mikey. People thought Mikey, a lot of times people thought, this guy's just a flipping goofball. But I'm going to tell you what, there's one of the smartest people I ever met in my whole life. And big-hearted, you could not ask for a sweeter person. He had his little idiosyncrasies, and one of them was he had to let you know what he ate. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I've been doing it for a long time. We're at the beginning of my show. I've been running the Susie Smart commercial for the Susie Smart doll. And I've been running the Mikey, give it to Mikey, he hates everything, the Mikey Likes It Life cereal commercial, which Mikey wasn't even born when that commercial came out, but he thought it was a riot. And it's staying right where it is. Every week, every show, Mikey's staying right there. Like I said, I'm hoping to get a little more info from his mom. I had to kind of dig around and try to find her info, and I forgot where I had, because they had just moved over to the Tampa area, and so I was trying to find her info, and then I remembered it was in my PayPal account because she buys jewelry from me. And so Mr. Kittle, I did steal some info off your page just because I didn't have time to find it. Like the link to his obit, because I wanted that picture. And hopefully they'll give a little bit more info on where they're going to stream his service. And yeah, Mike Wolf, that really was funny. The night that it said he was eating children tenders for dinner. Oh God, we laughed all for the whole show. And if anybody said the word chicken or the word tender, that the whole thing would start again. And the thing about it, you could pick on Mikey, and he didn't care. He'd pick on you back, or just laugh it off. And if anybody said anything that was really mean to Mikey, he knew I was gonna jump them. Oh, okay, because yeah, this I had just screenshotted earlier. Let me refresh the page and see if it. Okay, hang on. But yeah, I was helping him with some. He was trying to get some permissions on some properties that he wanted to metal detect that were close to his college. And I had just finally, I had gotten the name of the company that now owned it. It was an old school, and I had finally gotten the name. And last night I got the address, so I was actually going to give him the address today. And then I found out what had happened, and I'm afraid it's too late. So, folks, and here's the thing. All right, there's the obituary. I don't think I can read it right now. It may just be too much for me. But anyway, they're gonna be doing, I guess, live stream of his service, which anyway, let me get this link here and I'll paste it over in here. If you want to go read his obituary and get the info on the service and everything, that's where you're going to find it. Mike Wolf, I have not I have not been able to stop crying since I got the news. And here's the thing, another Mikey story. When I first started getting really sick, Mikey was still in high school. He hadn't even started college yet. And I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do. How was I going to raise the money to get to Michigan where I knew I could get proper treatment? That kid got a channel that, yeah, I was subbed to that channel, but I was not at all, like, part of the in group on that channel or anybody that they even really knew. Mikey went over to the coin crew and said, look, my friend is sick and she needs to raise a bunch of money because she needs to get where she can get treatment. And talked a total, a couple, absolute strangers to me, into having a fundraiser for me on their channel where they raised over $1,000, which is still sitting in my moving fund. And I am just now finally getting packed to be able to make that move. But who would have thought in a million years that he would be gone before I was? I mean, I can't say enough about the heart of this kid. And yeah, he was goofy. He was goofy as heck. Yeah, I like that one. Like, I'm gonna start putting some of these up on the screen because some of them are pretty funny. Like, there's one from Michael Kittles that asked me to get him some white man folders once instead of Whitman. And then, of course, there's the chicken tenders one, the children tenders. But I mean, I'm gonna go back through some of the early. I know there's some. Yeah, autocorrect would get Mikey every time. Now I'm gonna tell you the other day. I'm having to get rid of a lot of things to make this move because I just can't afford to transport a lot of this stuff. Um, Across 600 miles. So I was like keeping everybody's addresses off of thank you cards and that kind of stuff and keeping the stickers, but I knew I couldn't keep all these cards, and so reluctantly I started throwing them away. But then I got to one from Mikey, and Mikey, one of the reasons Mikey became real good with the computer is Mikey had a lot of difficulty writing things by hand. When he would write something, it looked like it was written by a 6-year-old, and it took him a long time. So most of the time, if you got any communications from Mikey, it was going to be typewritten. Well, I found this thank you card from Mikey, and it was all handwritten, and I had been throwing them all away, but I couldn't throw that one away because I knew how long and how tedious it was for him to make that card. And then I got another one, and I'm pretty sure this one, that his mom actually did the writing. But they would always send me a thank you card. And yeah, I got one right here. This one I think his mom wrote. But I wish somewhere in here I have one that he wrote. And I could not bear to part with that for some reason. And that was last week that I made the decision, and I was getting rid of all those cards. But for some reason, I kept that one from Mikey, and now I know why. So, yeah, he was. I'm wondering, what his mom is gonna do with. He collected some strange things, but mostly it was like Pokemon and uh, coins, and he was just starting to get into uh, the metal detecting part of it, and uh, yeah, I'm just like I I had a good show planned, and I'm still going to do that show because it's something Mikey would have jumped right in on, been super helpful. But I'm not going to do that show tonight because I just can't. I have been bawling my eyes out for several hours now, and I have a splitting headache, and I just can't even fathom doing my show without Mikey. That, but yeah, you guys are right. That autocorrect would get him. Uh, just it, because if he spelled something the slightest bit wrong, uh, the autocorrect would turn it into something completely different. And Mikey was quirky. That's a good word for him. Quirky. He had a lot of little quirks, and there was a rule on my channel, and some people knew it and some people didn't know it, but if they didn't know it, they found it out pretty quick. Was it's fun, it's okay to joke with Mikey. It was not okay to pick on him about any disability or whatever. And I was kind of like, you know, real adamant. You're not going to mess with Mikey. And I threw a couple people off my channel because they messed with Mikey, and not in a good way, not in a joking way. And yeah, I thought of this one too because I had seen this morning that it was National Cheeseburger Day, and I had in my head I had the idea, it's National Mikey Day, and then my brother, who is the one that actually ended up taking the Pearl Harbor coin to the Pearl Harbor survivor and giving it to him because Mikey couldn't get there. My brother, with his little sardonic wit, came out with right now, Mikey and Jimmy Buffett are having a cheeseburger in paradise. So I hope they are. I really hope they are. Because I'll tell you what, this channel is never, ever going to be the same without Mikey.
Cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. Cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger.
I have a lot of sound effects and a lot of bot commands that were all aimed at Mikey and his quirkiness. One of the shows I want to go back and revisit, I had a show that I think it lasted about 6 or 7 hours. And yeah, I will absolutely post that picture again. I'm right in the middle of changing computers, and so I'm gonna have to. I've been rearranging where photos and everything are on the new computer, so I'm gonna have to look for that photo. But I absolutely will post that photo. It was such a shame that Mikey couldn't be there, but it was such a, he had no idea what great joy he brought to that 96-year-old man by sending that silver round down there. He just had no idea how appreciated that coin was going to be. And so, yeah, absolutely, when I find that, I absolutely will post it. I posted it a while back when it first happened, which would be a couple of years ago. But today there just wasn't any way that I could even bring myself to look for it. Hi, Mud Swat. I know you're here, honey. So, yeah, we will find that photo of Mr. Lane with the coin that Mikey sent him. And, yeah, I will make sure it gets posted both in a stream and in the community tab, because some of my people said they cannot get into the community tab with whatever they're trying to get in with their phone or something, and their phones don't allow them to do it, or they can't get there or whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna try one day this week. I had a show, some of you may remember. You know, one of the things Mikey really wanted, he wanted this channel to get monetized, and he would get out there and he would push the daylights out of this channel. Well, one of the shows I had right before I got really sick was I had a big giveaway party. Called The Devil Made Me Do It. And it was my 666 subscribers. And this thing went on for, I think, 666 hours, it felt like. But Mikey was absolutely hilarious in that stream. He was one. I didn't have very many moderators or anything back then, and he, when I was starting to fade out, he would get that room going, and it was absolutely, you know, it was 100% Mikey. Sir Benji says, do I have a move date yet? Not exactly, but I am now number 17 on the list. I was number 19 last Monday. So I'm moving up this list pretty fast. And I'm going to call them again in a couple of days and see where I'm at. But my estimated list, I mean, moving date is like mid-October, about a month. So I don't have an exact yet, but I'm getting real close to it. So as soon as I know something, I'll let you know something. I mean, yeah, Mikey was like a big part of my channel, and I don't know what to do. You know, it's like I'm overwhelmed right now. with just the very thought. I can't even fathom it. You know, when I would be too sick to do my show, Mikey would send me an email or something, just making sure I was okay, and when my show would start, if it was like a half an hour in and Mikey wasn't in the room, I was like, hey, something's wrong. Mikey's not here. And usually it was because he was somewhere eating. And then he would show up and tell us what he ate. So, anyway, I had this big show planned, and I'm going to do the show, but I'm not going to do it right now. Because, and part of it was actually Mikey's idea. We talked about it a long time ago, but I could never find what I needed to do it with without spending a bunch of money. Well, I'm going to say last Wednesday, which would have been right after he passed, I was in a thrift store looking for a cable I needed for my stereo. And I was walking by this big shelf full of books, and I saw this right on the bottom of a pile was this little hardback red book. And I thought, that looks like an old red book, coin book. And I went over and pulled it out, and that's exactly what it was. And it was the date that we had discussed, how interesting it would be to have a 1965 red book, because 64 was the cutoff date on a lot of the silver coins. They started using different metals and stuff, and we just thought how interesting it would be to compare the 65 book to the current book. And darned if I did not find a 1965 red book, hardbound edition in brand new condition. Ooh, that rhymed. For 50 cents. So I'm still going to do that because I think it was a great idea of comparing what something was worth in 1965 or prior to 65, when, you know, all the silver coins were floating around, to what those coins are worth now. And it was really a Mikey idea. So but yeah, I found that 65 in the thrift store for 50 cents the day after Mikey passed. Now, I always look in there for coin books, and I never find any coin books in that store. Yet, what did I find? A 65 hardbound edition, and that was, you know, and because we looked at them on like Amazon and stuff, and they were like $14, $25, and I'm like, you know, I can't afford to do that. You know, I'm saving all the money that I've got for getting moved, and I said, one of these days I'll just stumble on one, or somebody will send me one or something. And darned if I didn't stumble on one last Wednesday in the thrift store. So I am still going to do that show. I have the book, and because the one Mikey wanted, he wanted a 2001. Yeah, I believe that was a sign from Mikey, Leanne. I really do, because we talked about that 2 years ago. And then all of a sudden, I just happened to glance over in a bookshelf that has hundreds and hundreds of books. And I see this little red book on the very bottom of a stack of probably 25 books. And it's just barely sticking out. But I know what the older hardback ones look like, you know, the color of them and everything. And I just saw it and I went, man, that looks like a red book. And I went over there and pulled it out, and sure enough, and it's in like pretty much mint condition. None of the pages are falling out or anything. And back then they didn't use the cheap paper in those. They had the nice glossy, like magazine style pages. So all the photos are just beautiful. And now I know why I got that. It's just funny that way. But I just don't think I can do the show. Now, if you guys want me to do, I can do some quarters, because I did get some car wash quarters. But truth be told, I'm pretty kind of not with it right now. Most of you should have gotten your packages, with the exception of, let's see, I've got one for furry plants that with a little keychain in it, and I've got this giant thing that I'm working on with Doug Harding, and the only other person that did not get theirs was Mikey, and he did not get it because he told me to hold it for him until I had several. I had 2 things in his, and he always would tell me hold it until I had a bunch, so that the postage wasn't too high, and wait until he was home rather than send it to the college, because he was afraid he would not get it at the college, that somebody would just pick it up and walk off with it. And he was probably right. So I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with Mikey's things. But because if you guys will remember, the last, I didn't do Wednesday night show because I was sick. So the last show I did was last Monday night. And at the very end of it, I did that duck race. And Mikey won. And of course, everybody was teasing him and yelling, rigged, rigged, you know, because he was a mod. And what he won was not really a coin thing, and not really a detecting thing. What it is, it's a real nice hardcover journal sketchbook. And my idea for it was for him to put all of his notes. You know, I said you can print them out and just put them in there, of your information on getting permissions and how to go about doing things. You know, some of the info that I would send him, I said you could print them out and put them in this book, and then if you can make like your own little reference book out of it, and you can put some drawings in there of what parts of places you searched with your detector, and what was it worth. Were you finding nothing but junk, or were you finding good stuff? And that way you would know, do I want to go back there? So, or he could use it for whatever he wanted to. So that was the last thing I gave away on Monday night's show. Mikey won the end of stream. The next day he was gone, or later that night. We're not 100% sure. I think they can only get things down to like a couple of hours or so, and especially when you pass in your sleep. But that kind of freaks me out, because I don't know if he went. Usually he would go from my show to a couple of other people's, but he had said something to me about because he had just started back on the new term at college, and he said he had some homework. So my show may or may not have been the last place he was. I don't know. I'd like to think so. But I don't know what to do. I might send this journal, since it's just a blank journal. I may send it to his mom. In fact, I had an idea. If somebody, I usually count on Mikey to do this. Just so many things that he did for this channel. How about we do this? How about if you've got something that you want to say about Mikey to his mom, or a story, or whatever, email it to me. I can print them out, put them in the book, and send them to his mom. So, yeah, I'm not going to glue them in or anything. I'm just going to put them in there, and if she wants to put them in the book, then she can. But yeah, I've been thinking that I should send that book to his mom, and it may be some help to her to be able to journal some of that. Hi, Looter. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. The other prize, I don't remember what it was, but it was like a keychain or something. I think it was a duck keychain. And I'll send her that too. And I'm gonna make her. She buys a lot of jewelry from me. In fact, my number one selling thing I have this series of jewelry called Critters, Kritterz. And I started out, I just had cats, dogs, and horses. Until Mikey, one of his relatives, I don't remember, I think it was his aunt, really liked squirrels. And he asked me, could I make squirrels? So I had to order a packet of squirrel charms to get the 3 that I needed for the earrings and necklace for his aunt. And so then I just made up other pieces of jewelry with the rest of them. Fastest selling thing I ever put on the critter board, and it still is. I've had to order those squirrels about 5 or 6 times. And uh, the coin crew who he got to help raise money for my move and my illness, they use a squirrel as their symbol. So of course, Mrs. Coin Crew had to get squirrel earrings, and so the squirrel thing was Mikey. And every time I go sell stuff, you know, out of that collection, I sell squirrels, and it's because of Mikey. And then he said, well, so and so I know likes frogs. Can you do frogs? This kid was coming up with so many good ideas. Some of my best selling critters came out of the head of Mikey. But the squirrel thing especially, because I made those special for one of his family members. And you know, I owe so much to that kid, and I don't know. You know, I think he'd be mad at me if I quit doing the show. I think I'd be hearing from him things that I didn't want to be hearing. I would probably be the next victim of assault by chicken tender. But yeah, they're just right now. I just can't even. I don't have any children. I have a stepson somewhere I haven't seen for over a decade. And Mikey was kind of like, you know, like a godson or a grandson or something. He was my Susie Smart's teacher's pet, you know, and did so many things for this channel. Hey, Tiff. I'm going to run back through and thank everybody whose names I see for showing up in here tonight. Dizzy Giraffe, Annette Essman, Mike Wolf, Package Total, William E. Oops, my arrow went crazy. Petey Sandigger, Shane Hurlbert, Gringo. I haven't seen Gringo for a long time. Sir Benji, Maui Manda. I just want Michael Kittle. I just want to thank all of you for coming over. I know I missed some down here at the bottom. My Mud Swat, Sir Benji, Leanne, Walt Money, Looter 8, Tiffany Twisted, Lucky James. I just want to thank all of you for stopping in and paying tribute to Mikey, because there were some people that did not like Mikey. They didn't understand Mikey. But those of us that got to know him and loved the little bacon-hating guy, I used to tease him all the time but truth be told, Mikey, like me, had a lot of digestive issues, and sometimes he would say, I don't like coffee, or I don't like bacon, or I don't like this or that. And a lot of the times it wasn't so much that he did not like those items, it was that those items did not like Mikey. Yeah, he was so much fun. And just when you would think that stream was getting too serious or too weird, he would jump in there and keep everything going. And William E., you're right, he would always say something during the duck race because he didn't want it to become boring. He wanted to keep everybody's interest on the race, even if they didn't have a duck in the race, because he did not want them to leave the stream. And if you noticed, at the end of a stream, there could be 2 people in that stream. But he would always tell everybody, thanks for coming, great stream, let's go raid, blah, blah, blah. And he would always ask me, sometimes it would be in private on the side so you didn't know, but he would always ask me, is it okay for me to tell people, let's go raid Joe Blow's stream? But he always, whether there was 20 people in here or 2, he would always say, great stream, hope everybody had fun. You know, he was a great moderator. Even and part of it was because he was so quirky. But I tell you what, that kid knew coins. He did not have to look up. 99%. If I would say, I'm just going to grab a coin here, any old coin. Okay, let's put this up here. And let's say I didn't know anything in particular about a 51D. I didn't know if it was something I was supposed to be looking for something special or what, because this is a beginner channel. You know, even though I've been collecting for a while, I know nothing. You know, I just play one on YouTube TV. But I could say something about this coin, and Mikey would know the answer. He wouldn't have to go look it up. He would just know. Like if there was something that I was supposed to be looking for, a double die obverse, he would know. He would just say, okay, you're looking for doubling over here on Liberty or whatever. He just knew this stuff off the top of his head. And he was the same way with Pokemon cards. Now, I never really got into the Pokemon thing, but that kid was making money because he had a good eye for the valuable cards, and he knew how to take care of things. And he would find, like, go to the flea market or something and just sit there, because he had the patience to do it, where he would go through boxes and boxes and boxes of Pokemon cards. And somehow he would find valuables. And he would send me a message and say, I just got so-and-so card for $50. And I'm thinking, $50? That's obscene. That's a lot of money for one card. And then he'd write back a couple of days later, yeah, I just sold that $50 card for $225. He had all that stuff, was just like up in his head there. The kid was so freaking smart. And like I said, he didn't have to look, most of the time he didn't have to look stuff up. He just, once he got it, he got it. It kind of reminded me of Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory. But yeah, I am gonna do the show that we talked about doing, but yeah. And here's the other thing, and I'm gonna go back to this obituary for a minute because a lot of people, I don't know why, but they made this assumption that where's the obituary? There it is. All right, let me get this back up here. I can't find it. Anyway, there were some people that made assumptions about Mikey that weren't true. And one of them really, I actually threw the guy off my channel for making the comment that he made, which was, and this is going to have some unsavory language in it, but he said that he heard that Mikey was a retarded kid in a wheelchair and was deformed and just, some nasty, nasty things that he said. And I'm like, obviously, you have never, ever seen or met Mikey, because that could not be any further from the truth. Mikey was a really good looking young man. And oh, I was so mad when this guy said that. I threw him right off my channel. I said, get out of my room. Do not come back in my room. You do not ever say anything about anybody in my stream, especially somebody that's doing such an incredible job as Mikey did. I just like, what is wrong with you? Y'all know how I am about bullying, because believe me, I have been bullied on YouTube so many times. Just absolutely bullied to no end. And I'm like, no, you're not going to come on here and bully Mikey. You're not going to come on here and bully anybody if I can stop it. But don't you dare say things like that about Mikey. You want to kick me off, just all you had to do is start picking on Mikey. So anyway, I'm going to do a better tribute. I'm a little too broken right now to really. I want to go back through some of the older shows and find some of the better Mikey cuts, because there is some pretty funny stuff in there. Yeah, he was just getting started with the detecting, and he was hoping and praying that he would win one of these pinpointers. That's the first prize that I ever gave away that he really, really was excited, wanted to win a pinpointer. And he was real excited about wanting to detect that 1910 closed down school that was right up the road from his college. Well, it took me a couple of days tracking things down about when the school opened and when it closed and what it became after that. And then he had told me there's a sign there that said construction beginning soon, but it turned out it was going to be senior apartments. But when I started looking it up, it turned out that that sign had been placed in 2018. And then the company that had bought the building, when they got in there to start the construction, they found out they were going to have to rip out all the wiring, and it was going to cost them way more than they had anticipated the project was going to cost. So they just stopped in 2018 and had been doing nothing. And but because of that article, which I found in a newspaper, I was able to get the name of the company. It's owned by a company that's not in Florida. And I wasn't gonna, I told them, I said, I'm not gonna do your asking for permission for you. You are gonna have to do that because that's part of the deal. I said, but I will give you the name of the company and I'll look and see if I can find an address for them. And then you can send them an email or you can send them a letter. But that you want to get something in writing because they're out of state. And I had told him that Monday night that I would, as soon as I got the confirmed mailing address, I would email all the info to him because he really wanted to go. He was smart enough to know this school was built in 1910. There's probably something out there. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But he really, really wanted to do that. And I just can't get my head wrapped around that he was on my show and went to bed and never got up. It's just really, really hard that like two of the people that he was so super kind and supportive to, a 96-year-old Pearl Harbor survivor, a 70-year-old lady with multiple autoimmune disorders. These are people he didn't even personally had never met, but their stories stuck with him because he had his own battles he was fighting. And the one thing, I sit here all the time and I talk about how sick I am and what I have and did any of you ever hear that boy complain about anything that he had wrong? No. Not once did I ever hear him complain in public. A couple times he said things to me in email, but like he told me, he said, I'm going to write you a note. I hope you can read it. I don't write very well. But he can type great. And, you know, his use of language, he didn't have a problem with language skills. He just had a problem with hand coordination as far as like actually writing the cards out. But and a lot of times he would have his mom write the cards. I knew it was his mom's writing, but he wrote me one and it was pretty long. And I sat there and I wondered how long it took him to do that. Yeah, see, I was looking forward to going detecting with him too, because I'm from Florida. And uh, in fact, I used to live maybe 5 or 6 miles from where he was going to college. And his mom had just recently bought a new place to live in the Tampa Bay area, in a town that my friend Tommy had lived in, and I had lived in that area. I went to college in that area. So, I was hoping to get down there and, you know, us have a good time, go hunting. Mikey and Grandma. He had already lost all his grandmas, so I was like an extra grandma. And yeah, so I know I'm babbling, and I apologize. It's just it's how it's my coping mechanism. Um it's kind of all I can do right now because I'm just so broken by the whole thing. It just it just would never have occurred to me that such a thing would happen. Uh, I'm going to throw a couple of other things in that are not related to Mikey. One of them is a note that I got from Dawn, the metal detector. Um, she used to be on here regularly. We went down to Florida detecting. Dawn lives in Texas, but her family is from here in Virginia. And her dad has been very, very sick with cancer. And then Dawn, her father, and her mother, and somebody else in the family all ended up getting COVID while her dad was at the hospital there up here. And so she flew up, and she said that she's doing better, but her dad is not doing well. But we thought he was going to be gone like a month ago. And she said she the note from her said, Susie, I'm so sorry. I know I can't talk to you about it right now. Please let his family know that they and his friends are in our prayers. So anyway, we heard from her today, so she's hanging in there. She's been sick ever since we got back from Florida last year. She had some bad digestive issues. Uh, Benji, I wish you'd come down here and list these 3 big boxes sitting in the middle of my living room. Sir Benji and I are both eBay dealers, and I'm trying to sell off a lot of stuff before I get up to get ready to go to Michigan, so I don't have to take it with me. And because I need the money, I still don't have quite enough money to make this all happen. But um, I, Sir Benji, will see you. Oh, and if you're still listening, my famous rock and roll friend said you're welcome to come with me and Deej to his farm to do some detecting when I get there. We're going to teach him how to detect. That ought to be fun. Uh, okay, and the other thing that I want to throw real quick was the last thing I gave away last Monday was I did my monthly Patreon silver giveaway, and it had that really weird buffalo nickel that we couldn't figure out. Some of the markings on were really strange. And then there was a silver dime, US dime. Oh, that'd be cool, Benj. Anyway, so there was that really weird buffalo nickel, the silver US rosy dime, and a silver Canadian dime. And the Patreon drawing was won by Mark Thomas. Well, Mark told me he wanted to pay that one forward and for me to put it back in the giveaway box. So he did claim his prize and then donated it back to the channel. And if you've been wondering where he is, as you know, Mark has been like super duper active on YouTube for a long time, and he's been a moderator on a bazillion channels, including this one. He wrote a lot of my Nightbot commands, including all the "Hey Mikey, what's for dinners?" and all of those Mikey related ones. And he said that he moved not too long ago, and he's trying to get settled back in, and that he was just a little burned out, and I understand that, and wanted to have some time to metal detect and do some other things. So Mark is fine. He just is taking a break. Yeah, because everybody, when he won, everybody's like, yeah, where is Mark? And I didn't know where he was either. So, but he's fine. He's just taking a break. He said he'll be back in a bit, but he kind of wanted to get settled in. He moved maybe 3-4 months ago, I guess it was. And so anyway, he donated his prize back. I have another prize that I don't have the address for this person, and it's one that has to go overseas, and it's been sitting here over 6 months. And I have emailed the person, and I have commented, and he's never claimed it. So I'm gonna wait until the end of this month. And this was a really nice prize too. So if the person does not claim it by the end of the month, I'm gonna put it back, because it was a 57D Benji, and it's a real nice one, but I can't keep having this thing just sitting here on my desk for months and months and months. And I can't really go into Mikey's health things, but it's kind of one of those things, like if I don't know if Sir Benji is still in here, but there are a few of us that are a little bit OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder. And OCD can manifest itself in some weird ways. Like there are some people, like on The Big Bang Theory, you have Sheldon Cooper, who has to knock on the door 3 times. You know, he'll go over to his neighbor's house, and instead of just knocking on the door like a normal person would, it's something that he feels like he has to hit that door 3 times.
Penny, penny, penny.
It's a compulsive thing where you just can't move on to the next thing until you've done that thing. It's just something in your head. And I wonder sometimes with Mikey if it wasn't when he was away from home, people would ask him, "Hey, Mikey, did you eat? What'd you have for dinner tonight?" So he just got into that thing of telling. That would be like the first thing. Once he got that out off his system, then he was fine and could discuss anything in the world. But I don't know that to be true, but that's what it seems like to me. It's like I have this crazy routine that I have to do to feel safe. And it's funny and it's stupid, but I had a dad who was abusive. If he were alive now, they would call what he has post-traumatic stress disorder. Back then, the guys coming out of World War II, they called it shell shock. Well, things would just kick in with my dad, and he would decide he had to just go and kick somebody's ass. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but that's. And the older my dad got, the worse he got. And he might get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and come into your room and just start smacking the crap out of you. Now, in his head, he was beating up Japanese soldiers. But
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
That was kind of my dad. So I got in this habit of putting things in front of my door so that if he was coming in, before he could get in the door, I would hear something crash or he wouldn't be able to get the door open right away. And to this day, I still put something in front of the door. My dad's been dead since 1984. But as a child, that was a coping mechanism. And I think, I don't know this for sure, but Mikey absolutely had to tell you first thing when he came in the room what he ate. And he would tell you, "I don't eat breakfast," or "I don't eat this." But he had to tell you what he ate before he could start the conversation with the rest of the room. And I think it was probably just an OCD thing. And once he had done it, then he was ready to rock and roll. I could be wrong, but because I have it, and I've heard Sir Benji say that he has a little OCD. So a lot of us have these funny little quirky things that we got to do. And it did become an inside joke after a while. But from the very first time he was ever in my channel, he had to do that. And absolutely no bacon. Oh, we had a whole bunch of bot commands for Mikey. Oh, let me see if I can remember. Some of them. Mark Thomas made most of them. Like one of them was, I think it just said Mikey. have to go in there because I don't remember all of them, but because usually I had other mods that would hit those commands for me before I could ever get to them. One of them, yeah, this was one of them that I started when I started running the commercial for Life cereal. We created this one. And it was, okay, Mikey, what's for breakfast? Life cereal? And then we had, let me see, I know there's more. Oh, yeah, here's another one. It just depended upon what time of day it was. Oh, yeah, we have bot commands for him. And oh, we'd start talking about bacon. And he's like, I don't like bacon. I don't drink coffee. I don't like tea. I don't like coffee. I don't like this. I'm like, you don't like anything. And that's when I started running that. Give it to Mikey. He hates everything. And of course, Mikey was way too young to even know what that commercial was at first, but they still make Life cereal. So once he saw the commercial and found out how popular that commercial had been and all the rumors that had surrounded that commercial, that that kid had died from eating Life cereal and just all kinds of crazy things, he thought it was hilarious that I would put that commercial up there. So he had 3 of his very own the last one was Mikey, and it was, hey Mikey, what's for dinner? And that was the one that got used the most because most of the time my show came on, Mikey would come in and say, he had whatever, or he had gone to so and so pizza or this place or that. And the reason he would say where he went was because I was from that area and he knew I would know where that was, in relationship to where his college was and so forth. But oh yeah, we played right into it. Yeah, and like I said, I made the first one. I made the Mikey one that said, "Hey Mikey, what's for dinner?" And then several of my other bot commands were made by Mark Thomas. Like there's one about technical difficulties. What exactly does it say? It says, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by while our crack team of technicians hastily fix the problem. I mean, I have a whole bunch of them. And then there's some that I made once I learned how to do them. And I was learning some stuff from Mikey that he was learning at college because he was learning how to do video production and my brain just went blank. Anyway, some website building And see, I used to be able to, back in the 90s, and early 2000s, I knew all the codes, the HTML. I knew all that, and I could put a web page together from nothing. But then when I got sick, I was off the internet for quite a while, and a lot of the technology changed, and I just I lost my connection there. And so Mikey was kind of, if I was trying to do something like that, he could bring me up to, standards and explain it to me in a way I could understand it. Yeah, now see, now everybody's going to play with the commands, but I would have never had those if it wasn't for Mikey. Mikey, I think the very first one I had besides email was Mikey, what's for dinner? And like I said, I started running that Mikey Likes It thing because he would always say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, in the original long version of the Life cereal commercial, the two older brothers say, oh, let's give it to Mikey. He won't eat it. He hates everything. And so actually, he wanted to be an archaeologist. His plan was he wanted to go, he was real big into like World War II history, and he wanted to go to Europe after he graduated. And this, he told me himself, he wanted to go to Europe and help document some of the battlefields where hundreds of unknown soldiers are interred, where they were just buried where they died. And so he wanted to be able to go over there and help locate these people and then document. I worked on an archaeological team, and you have to document everything. You don't take a scoop of dirt out of the hole. You take a little brush and you very carefully are removing so that you don't miss things like tiny buttons or teeth or a stone from a ring or a bead. And he seriously wanted that the video stuff to tie in with the archaeology stuff. And if you ever saw his email address, it had Mikey Army Man something, but it had Army in it. It was very military thing. I'm sorry if I ran over you tonight, Spray Can, but you know how close I was with Archaeology Mikey, and this has just been a devastating blow to my channel and to me personally. Welcome, Dolly. Hi, Sheena. So, and I did start my show later because I had to pull myself together. I still have not pulled myself together. And I don't know that I'll ever be able to pull myself together. It's just like I told some of the people earlier, I don't have any children. This was kind of my adopted kid. So plus his mom is one of my clients that buys my handcrafted jewelry, so I've gotten to know her, and it's just been a real hard thing for me. I'm going to try to gather up some of the better Mikey stuff. They're supposed to be streaming his service. They're taking him back to Maryland, which is where his family is from. And they're supposed to be streaming the service Thursday morning. And so probably Thursday night or Friday, I will, anyway, sometime by the end of the week, I'm going to pull together some of the better Mikey moments, because he was on my channel from my very first live stream. The very first show I did, Mikey was there. And he's been there through thick and thin. And some of the stuff that came out of that boy is funny as heck. And sometimes it would just make you cry. The children tenders, that may be one of the all-time greats, was when his autocorrect changed chicken tenders to children tenders. And you're eating what? Are you trying to get my channel busted? You can't be eating children in here. And that one has gone on, I'm going to say 2 years. He still could never get past that one. Every time he would say he had chicken tenders for dinner, somebody was going to say children tenders, because it was just that darn funny. And the other time, there's one where I was doing a bunch of giveaways, and I had written numbers from 1 to 100 on pieces of paper, because this was back when we didn't have all the duck races and the fancy games. And I had all these pieces of paper, and the first time, everybody's guessing the number, and then I pulled the number out, and it was 69. And of course, everybody's laughing, and so I threw it back in, and like 45 minutes later, we have another drawing, and I shake the bag all up and everybody makes their guess, and I reach in the bag, and I pulled out 69 again. And everybody's cracking up. Well, Mikey was only about 19 at the time, and I don't think he really knew the other connotation of that number. We'll just put it that way. And he didn't quite understand why everybody was just losing it. So I put it back in the bag again, and about another 45 minutes later, I'm going to do the end of stream, and I shake the bag all up, and I stick my hand in, and I pull it out, and danged if I didn't pull that same number out for a third time. And I just absolutely lost it. I just took the whole bag, and this was when I did everything live on camera, so I just took the bag, and I'm like, I'm not putting that number back in this bag ever again. And then later after the show, I got a message from him, and he wanted to know what that meant. And I'm trying to explain to this kid, why all the older people in the stream were losing it. And that one I want to try and find and just get some snips of it. And who was it that said, oh, Mike the Greek, Yeah, he liked ketchup, but he didn't like much other stuff. Um, and of course, one of the other reasons I wanted to honor him today, and I thought it was interesting that the announcement didn't go out till today, and I'm wondering how intentional it was. But today is National Cheeseburger Day. So we're all celebrating Mikey's life on National Cheeseburger Day. And like my brother said, he hopes Mikey and Jimmy Buffett are having a cheeseburger in paradise. I would like to think they are. That would be an interesting pair. Hey, Jack. Hi, Scrappin'. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get much done sleep-wise tonight. I have pretty much been a sob fest ever since I found out. And there were, I don't know if I still have this where I can access it, or I may have to pull it up again. But there was a note that Mikey's mom sent to Michael Kittle. And Michael sent me a little note about it. And I'm going to read it to you again because I had almost stopped crying like a baby, and then I got this from Michael Kittle. And then I lost it. And it said, "Hi, Susie, just wanted to share that when Mikey's mom contacted me, you were one of the very few channels she knew by name and wanted to make sure you knew about Mikey's passing and wanted you to know how much you meant to Mikey too. It's so sad he was way too young." And then I really lost it because Mikey was on just about everybody's channel, and that he had on multiple occasions discussed things from my channel with his family, and that of all the channels he was on, mine was one of the few that he had talked about so much that she knew it by name and wanted to make sure that I knew that I was something special to him as he was to me. And then I lost it. And y'all can tell I'm still crying. I got a screaming headache. And I've just blew off everything I was supposed to do. And probably will do the same tomorrow. I had something that was supposed to happen on Thursday. It ain't happening because I'm going to be here watching his service. If I had a better car, I would drive to Maryland because I'm in Virginia. And if I thought my car would make it, I would be there. But I just can't do it. But again, I want to mention, even though it's on the obituary page, that his family does not want flowers and that kind of thing. They want donations to be made to, and this was a joke between Mikey and I. They want the donations made to Beacon College, Beacon, and I used to tease him all the time and call it Bacon College because he hated bacon so much. But they want donations made to Beacon College in Leesburg, Florida, where he was like almost a straight A student. He was really good. Anyway, there's a link on the obituary page down at the bottom, and if you click on it, you can go in there and send the donation online, or you can mail it. Yeah, he went and checked out a lot of schools, and he liked this one. And I'm familiar with this college. It's a very small private college down in Florida. Hang on, and I will tell you where in Maryland as soon as I paste this address for the college. If you want to send a donation by mail, just make sure you put on there that it is for Mikey, in memory of Mikey. And let me get that other piece of information. Like I said, I had to really pull myself together to even do this show. I'm kind of, yeah, I'm pretty rocked. I would have never, we all figured I was going to be the one going first. So, and then I'll have to get the okay, the other info about the streaming is up here now, so I will get that also. But let me show that. That's the funeral home. And let me get the live stream info. And it will be, doesn't say. Where does it say? 11 a.m. Eastern time is when all this is. So I hope there's enough space for me to paste this. Here we go. It kind of ran over into the next box, but funeral services will be live streamed via Facebook at Zellman Funeral Home or on Mikey's obituary page. Click on photos/videos. Click on watch webcast. The link will appear approximately 10 minutes prior to the start of the service. So that is all of that extra info. But I know that Michael Kittle has the link posted on his page, and I will get it posted on mine like I said, I didn't really have time to put something together because frankly I've been bawling my eyes out ever. I knocked me off here for a minute. Check, check. Yeah, okay, I got sound. Yeah, I just can't even fathom that this has happened. For those who missed the beginning and don't know what happened, Mikey was on my show last Monday night. Everything seemed to be fine. He was late getting there because he had gone out to eat. And I don't know, maybe somebody can answer the question. My show ran long last Monday night, and he had told me he had a term paper he needed to work on. So I was under the assumption that he wasn't going to go to any other channels, but he could well have because that was Mikey. He was channel surfing all the time. So anyway, I don't know if my show was the last one that he was on Monday night or not, but he may have gone over to somebody else's. And anyway, then he went to bed and he just never woke up. They said that he passed either late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. Apparently, he did not show up for his class, which was not normal for Mikey. Mikey was all about going to college. He was a hard-working student. He wanted that degree. He had ambitions. So I don't know. Like I said, I've been waiting to hear back from his mom, but she's probably in transit to Maryland and trying to get all of his final arrangements made. So I will hear from her, I'm sure, at some point, and maybe they can tell us a little more. But it does not sound like he went in any sort of pain or anything. They said they just found him in his bed. So died in his sleep. 22 years old, just turned 22. His birthday wasn't all that long ago. And but yeah, it's just something I would never have dreamed in a million years that I would outlive him, or that our friend that he gave that Pearl Harbor coin to, our friend was 96 when Mikey gave him that Pearl Harbor commemorative silver round, and he's now 98, almost 99. And I talked to my brother, and we decided we're not going to tell Bud that Mikey's gone. We will tell his wife. She's quite a bit younger than him, but we decided we're just not gonna do that because it was something that really meant so much to Bud to have that, and the idea that a 20-year-old kid that didn't even know him would give him such a gift. we don't want to tell him anything that's going to spoil that. So we just decided we're not. Yeah, he definitely was a cork. Let me see if I can find the link to the obituary page. I accidentally erased the link with my arm. So I'm gonna try and anyway, where are we at? Let me hit this button. There. Now I got it back. Obituary listings. I'm just pretty wound up. Okay, now I got the link because the obituary page, if you scroll down past the obituary, there's like a map and there's the information about the live stream and about the donations, and all of that is available. So let me paste that in real quick, and then I'm going to end this pretty soon. Did anybody else get a package from me this week? Yeah, scrapping, if I was that close, I'd be there if I had to walk. But my car is so bad. And oddly enough, I have a friend that is renting me a car. Well, Doug, yours is complicated, but I'm almost done. Because yours has stuff you bought, stuff I gave you, and stuff you won. And then some of the things I have to count them up, because it's like X amount per unit, and it got real complicated. But in the end, you're like pretty much, I have 3 left, and one of those was Mikey's. So, but yeah, I think I'm going to send that journal that Mikey won. I think I'm going to send that to his mother. There's Florida metal detecting. Haven't seen you for a while. But anyway, let me put this up there real quick. This is where his obituary page with all the other goodies are. Well, it's going to cost me a ton of money to mail Doug's. That's the other thing I'm trying to figure out, the best way to mail it. So it may be in more than one package, because I have to do customs. I have to do all these things. And there's a lot of stuff. So, we're working on that. But I sent out a whole bunch this past week. Like I said, I've got one here that Furry won last Monday, and I've got Doug's, which is the complicated one, and then I've got Mikey's that he won last Monday. Well, no, I know, Doug. I as soon as I said that, I realized I was thinking about John Chum, and I finally got his out because his was in Canada, and I had to do. Oh God, it was a mess. But yeah, yours is just a matter of, some of the items are heavy and some of them are real light and some of them are small and some of them are big, and I'm sitting here like putting them in different containers and putting them on the scale and then checking pirate ship to see which way it's going to come out cheaper, or should I use a flat rate box, or there's so much stuff involved that I just got to balance it out. But I did finally get all the Canadian guys all got mailed out finally. Once I figured out how to do the custom forms in the pirate ship app, it was much simpler than the customs form they gave me down at the post office, where you had to stick this envelope on there and then you had to fill the paperwork out, stick the paperwork in the envelope, and then you had to do this and then you had to do that, and it had questions on there that didn't even make any sense. So anyway, I'm down to Furry Plants has one. Doug has that big package. Mikey's that I'm going to send to his mom. I have her most recent address, where they just moved to the Tampa area, although I don't know that she's going to stay there, because I think one of the reasons she did that was because Mikey was going to school like an hour away. So I think she took that job there, to be nearby. And she had been down in Fort Myers and the hurricane hit down there. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly what, until I hear from her, I'm not sure where to send that. You can't drink coffee in here. Mikey didn't like coffee. Didn't like coffee, didn't like tea, didn't like bacon. There was a lot of stuff Mikey would say he didn't like, but I think some of that was, I know he had digestive issues, because I have them too. And I think sometimes it was like it didn't like him. And he just didn't want to say, hey, I can't eat that because it'll make me sick. Like I learned yesterday, I can eat my own homemade lasagna, but I bought for the second time some Stouffer's lasagna, and both times I've eaten it, I ended up not feeling too good. So there's some spice or something in it that I don't put in my homemade that does not like me. So I won't be having that anymore. So anyway, I'm not sure. I'm going to try to be back to normal Wednesday. But one of the things I am going to do is, okay, Scrappin', thank you. Please hit the like and all the other junk on the way out. I would appreciate it. I am going to stick to this 7 o'clock time. I started out, I was doing my shows at 5, and then I moved them to 6. And every time I would start a show at 6, a whole bunch of people would come in at 7. Even though I would put Eastern time, I would get more people because they were just getting off work out on the west of me. I also discovered that sometimes I can't get back from doctor's appointments in Roanoke until right at 6, which means I couldn't do the shows. So I'm sorry, whoever I'm running over, but I'm gonna do what I think is best for my show. And 7 o'clock is I'm still awake. I haven't taken all my dopey medicine yet, and although I'm probably funnier when I have, and it just works better for me, and we'll see how it works out. But for now, I'm going to be moving to the 7 o'clock Eastern time zone. That may change after I get moved to Michigan, which that's something else people have been asking about. I have been moving very rapidly up the housing scale, and it's looking like about 4 weeks I will be moving. And so I have already started packing. My sister's church is allowing us to use their great big picnic shelter, which is like right on a main drag, to have a yard sale for, it's not just for me, there's 3 different people, but there's plenty of room for all 3 family units to have a sale under there. It's all people that are having health issues that need financial assistance. So that's going to be happening the last weekend of September, and help me clear a lot of this stuff out. My car it's in such bad shape that I can drive it for about 10 miles and then it overheats. And it's got 257,000 miles on it, so it is not going with me. In fact, I meant to ask, I got to get a hold of Sir Benji, but I lost my original driver. So the current plan is to find somebody who is willing to come here and drive the U-Haul truck, and we will tow their vehicle so that they have it to drive home. They don't have to return the truck back and put a bazillion more dollars on it, and I'll pay for their gas and all of that. Ideally, I'm going to try to twist Sir Benji's arm, since he did say at one point if he had to, he'd come down here and drive the truck. Well, that would be great, because he already lives where I'm going. So we could just tow his truck back and unhook it, and he can drive to his house. But it's looking like I will be hopefully getting moved before the snow falls. And so I've got all that going on, and then this thing hit right in the middle. So I'm just going to have to take a couple of days and bring my brain back to where it needs to be. But I don't think Mikey would want me to give up on the show, so I'm not gonna. Like I said, I might have to take a little break from it, but that kid put his heart and soul into promoting this show and helping raise money for me to get moved so I can get treatment at University of Michigan. So I'm not going to give up on it. He didn't. So on that note, thank everybody for your support. You can come back to this video and find all the links to the different things. And don't forget, his service will be live streamed Thursday morning. You can either go through the funeral home's Facebook page or the funeral home's regular page on Mikey's obituary page. There will be a link. So I thank everybody, and I'm going to try to do my show Wednesday night. I still have 2 giveaways that I have not got the videos done for yet. The prize on one of them is it's the guess how much trash I pulled out of the metal detecting bags, the finds bags. And the prize on that is the Vulcan 360 precision pinpointer. And then the other one is going to be how much clad change did I pull out of those bags. And I had a prize picked out, but I may change it to something else. But anyway, there will be a nice prize for whoever can guess closest without going over on either one of those 2. And I'll get the rules up in a day or 2 once I pull my act together. Sorry, it's kind of a gloomy show, but it was kind of a funny show too, because you couldn't have a show with Archaeology Mikey that you didn't laugh in. You just had to. You just had to laugh. So good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging with me and keeping me from turning into a complete vegetable. And I'll see everybody Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye, everybody.